Okay, so today we're going to talk about equations of circles. So the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where h and k is the center of the circle, x and y is a point on the circle, and r is the radius. So it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So on your assignment, on your worksheet, that's going to pertain to these questions right here. So if you just want to write that out, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And then you just plug everything in. So your center is h and k, and your r is your radius. So if the center is at the origin, that would mean that your center is 0, 0. So that's your h and k. So I could just plug in x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals the radius squared. So what's 6 squared? 36. Now since it's just x minus 0 and y minus 0, you could write it as just x squared plus y squared equals 36, because x minus 0 is just x and y minus 0 is just y. So you've got another one with the center 0, 0, so you can just write it as x squared plus y squared, and then your radius is 2, so make sure you do 2 squared. This one, the center is 4 and 3, so that's your h and k. You just plug it in. So I would do x minus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 9 squared, which is 81. Okay, let's look at one with some negatives here. Let's look at 14. So that's our h and k. So when I plug it in, x minus a negative 2, what happens when you minus a negative 2? It makes plus, so x plus 2 squared plus y minus a negative 6 makes plus, so plus 6 squared equals 8 squared, which is 64. So I want you to notice something. If the numbers are positive, it looks negative in the equation. If the numbers are negative, it looks positive in the equation. So just remember that. So that's how you're going to do those. So when you work on the graphing, which is up here, you have to figure out what the center and the radius is, and then you can just draw the circle. So notice here, it just has x squared plus y squared. So that means the center is at 0, 0, because it's x minus 0 and y minus 0. So I'm just going to put my center at the origin. Now it says equals 16. So remember that's the radius squared. So that the radius squared is 16, I would have to square root that to get the radius. So my radius would be 4. So since I have my center and the radius is 4, if I go a distance of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, then I can draw my circle, which my circle looks pretty bad there, but you draw the circle. You get the idea. So here, see how it looks like negative 2 and negative 1? It's really the opposite, so it'd be 2, 1 would be my center. That's my radius squared, so radius squared is 9, so I would square root it. My radius would be 3. So I graph that point, over 2, up 1, and my radius is 3. So from that center point, you're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and draw your circle. Okay, let's do a couple more here. Let's look at, well, let's just look at number 3. So number 3, see how it looks positive there? So that means it's really negative 2. And then there's just a y squared. So that means it's y minus 0. So it'd be negative 2, 0 would be our center. And then our radius, remember radius squared is 16. So what's the square root of 16? So then I would graph that point, left 2, I don't go up or down any because it's negative 2, 0. And then from that center point, the radius is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. There's our circle. So this one, notice it's just x squared. So it'd be 0, comma. Now that looks like a negative 1, so what is it? Positive 1. Your radius squared is 9, so that means your radius would be the square root of 9, which is 3. So 0, comma 1, we don't go right or left any, we go up 1, and your radius is 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I hope that explains how to do the graphing and the writing of the equations. Some of your problems, you have a graph and you have to tell me the center and the radius and write the equation. So this one, notice my center is at 1, 2, 3, comma 2. And let's figure out the radius. Radius from the center to the side would have a length of 2. So then we can write the equation. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So I would have x minus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 2 squared, which is 4. So you have to figure out the center and the radius first and then write the equation. Okay, the next section you're given 2 points, so you're going to have to solve for the radius and then we can write the equation. So remember our equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So I'm just going to plug everything in. So my center is h and k and my point is x and y. So I have to solve for the radius. So I would have, I'm going to plug in 4 for x, 4 minus h, which is 5, squared, plus y is 0, minus a negative 2, which makes plus 2, squared equals r squared. So 4 minus 5 is negative 1 squared. 0 plus 2 is 2 squared equals r squared. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. 2 times 2 is 4. So my radius squared is 5. Now that I have my radius squared, I'm going to use my center and write the equation of the circle. So it would be x minus 5 squared plus y minus a negative 2, which makes plus 2 squared equals 5, my radius squared. So that's your answer. So I'll do one more of those and we should be good. So if I look at the next one, my center is h and k and my point is x and y. So I would just plug it in. So negative 2 minus a negative 3, which makes plus 3 squared. 3 minus a negative 3, which makes plus 3 squared equals r squared. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1 squared. 3 plus 3 is 6 squared equals r squared. 1 squared is 1. 6 squared is 36. So 37 equals r squared. So I will use that and my center and plug it in to my equation. So x minus a negative 3 would be plus 3 squared. Y minus a negative 3 would be plus 3 squared equals my radius squared, which is 37. So I hope that helps.